Hey everybody, it's Miss Dawson here, and it's been a while. For those of you who remember me, it was a pleasure getting to know you throughout this year. For those of you guys who don't know me but remember, your classmates and everybody getting called out of class to go to the Alma Star Externship meeting. So, lucky day because today you get to join us as well. For this first video, I'm only gonna be able to bring you two before the end of the year. But hopefully I can unload everything I need to and distill some knowledge for you to take with you, not only from the end of this year, but to carry over with you to next year as well. So I'm not going to keep you long. So this won't be, the whole hour that we normally would meet, but I'm just going to give you about 4 good points to take with you today. All right, so y'all ready? All right, so with the externship program, it's basically college and career readiness. I give you guys some tips and tricks on how to navigate the life after high school, life while you're in high school, whether you're seeking a job, whether you want to go into the workforce after graduation or college, the military, anything else in between. So step 1 on your journey throughout life is goal setting. You always want to have a roadmap about where you're going, because if you don't have a roadmap or a GPS, you're going to get lost. All right. And you'll probably take some detours along the way. But as long as you can stay focused on the goals you want to attain, you can get there a lot easier. All right. So it's 2 different types of goals. One is short term. The other one, of course, is long term. Short term goals are goals you want to accomplish between now and 6 months from now. Long-term goals can be between 6 months to 5 years from now. And then you have, where you want to see yourself in 10 years, 20 years, and so on and so forth. So with setting those goals, it's best to have it written down, because if you don't write it down, out of sight, out of mind, you can't keep your eyes on the prize, if you will. So what I do, and this is good for especially right now when we're all stuck at home, if you carve out some me time in your day, sit down and write a list of the things that you want to accomplish. All right, whether it's for my seniors who want to go to certain schools, or if you're an underclassman who wants to bring their grades up, whatever your goals are, write them down. After you write them down, put them someplace where you're going to see them. All right. Ideally, you want to be able to see them every day, but if you can put them in like a planner, I keep a memo pad where I write down like a checklist of things that I need to get done for like just one day at a time. I do that. Then it's got these handy magnets on the back so I can stick it on my refrigerator. I go to my refrigerator more often than I should now since I'm stuck at home, but it's always in my face. All right, so make sure you put your goals someplace where you can see them. And then after you accomplish those goals, you can check them off. All right, checking off goals gives you a feeling of accomplishment, and it motivates you to keep on checking those goals off. I like to put my goals in order from like the easiest to, I wouldn't say easiest or hardest, but from shortest to the longest. So if I have something that's just going to take me a day to do, it's going to be at the top of my list. If it's going to take me about a week or so, it's going to be further down, but I'm going to at least start on it. So by the time I'm finished, I got all these check marks on my handy dandy list. I even put stuff on my to-do list that I've already done just so I can check it off. All right, so whatever you can do to motivate yourself, by all means do it. If you want to put it on something glittery or sparkly, whatever your favorite sports teams are, if you're into playing video games, if you want to have a theme around your list, whatever you have to do to keep yourself, 1, motivated, and 2, ready to attain that goal. All right, so map it out, have a roadmap, separate it from short term to long term. All right. The second thing we talk about in the externship, in the sessions in general, is how to dress for success. I have to excuse me. Thank you. And if you didn't say bless you, say it next time when I sneeze. Anyway, dressing for success. People generally come up with an opinion about you within the first 3 seconds of meeting you. That means before you can say, hey, my name is, nice to meet you, I'm such and such, I'm from whatever place, I wouldn't say none of that matters, but before you even get your mouth open to speak to someone, they've already formulated their opinion just based on how you look. Let that sink in for a little bit. Whether their judgment of you is correct, incorrect, somewhere in between, you've already been judged, and that's real life. All right. So it's very, very important to make a good first impression, because sometimes you don't get a chance to say, hey, my name is, hey, I'm from such and such. This is what I want to do. So that means you have to get your foot in the door with just appearances. And as unfair and unjust as that may sound, again, it's real life. So you have to learn the differences between business professional, business casual, regular casual, formal wear, and a lot of the other styles of dress in between. But just for the sake of this video, make sure you do a quick Google search. Everybody has a phone. You'll be in class with your phone all the time. So right now, since we're home, you can definitely do your Googles and look up the difference between business professional and business casual. I had a young lady one year said, well, Miss Dawson, after this particular lesson, she was like, I've figured out why I didn't get that job at McDonald's. I showed up in a t-shirt and shorts. Well, yeah, it's because on an interview, you're supposed to show up in business professional unless they tell you not to. And usually if they tell you not to, it's certain stipulations because of location. So if you're interviewing at a construction site, they'll say, okay, don't wear your good pants and you're going to have to put on a hard hat. Or if you're someplace that has to do with painting, like I said, construction, or somewhere where you have to have on hazard gear, then they'll tell you to dress down or not. If they don't tell you how to dress, it's always business professional. And that means suit and tie. For young ladies, that means a pantsuit or a skirt suit, or a dress with your jacket, blazer. And again, all of this is on Google, so I'm not going to expound on that here, but make sure your keywords are business professional and business casual. A lot of, especially young men, get it confused. They'll say, okay, I can put on my polo collared shirt with my khakis and my Sperry's on. That's business casual. That is not business professional. All right, so please, please, please make sure you look up the difference. Another lesson that we get into is public speaking. A lot of times y'all don't like to speak in front of people, and that's okay. All right. Especially when it comes to different projects and presentations that you have to talk in front of your class. Y'all don't like doing it. Well, I'd say a good 10% of the students that I've come in contact with actually enjoy public speaking. But for the most part, the majority of students do not. They don't like the eye contact. They think it's real awkward. They get nervous. They start sweating. With this, I can give you some tips and tricks on how to handle that. All right, so the acronym that I use, and those of you who've heard me say it before, is PVLEGS, or PEV legs, PV legs, whatever you want to call it. So P stands for poise. Again, in first 3 seconds, that's all it takes is for somebody to judge you, is 3 seconds. So with poise, it's how you approach the front of the classroom or the podium or wherever you're going to speak. Make sure your head is up, shoulders back. You walk like you have some confidence. V is for voice. Make sure you project. If you have a little tiny baby voice and you don't have a microphone, you have to project, all right? With all these tips, the best thing that I can tell you to do is practice with it. Nothing happens overnight. Practice makes better, not perfect. So remember your poise, your voice, how you project. L stands for life. If you're talking about something and you're excited about it, you're going to have life. See how I just kind of, got a little bit bouncy with it. Everybody's going to tune you out if you are dead when it comes to presenting whatever you're talking about. So if it's a subject that you absolutely hate or you have no interest in, that's okay. Pretend to have some life about it. All right. Make it interesting, because otherwise they're going to tune you out, and then you're not going to be confident. So your poise goes out the window. So now your grade gets lower. All right. So make sure you have life when it's time to talk about whatever subject. E is for eye contact. It's that sticky one that nobody likes. Well, the great thing about eye contact, and when it's time for interviews, especially on jobs, you can't really get away from it. But there are times that you can take a break from eye contact. But as far as a presentation and public speaking, you don't have to look at anybody in their face. You can look right above their heads. The technique that I tell all the kids is a sprinkler technique. So you look at the part of the room that's in front, then figure out what's on the wall to this side, and then that side, and then make sure you wind up back in the middle. It's also a pageant trick. So when the girls get on stage and they have to answer that weird question at the end of pageants, it's the sprinkler technique that they use to make it appear as if they're making eye contact. All right, so you start in the middle, say whatever you want to on point 1, talk about point 2, end on point 3, and your conclusion back in the middle. You've made no eye contact, but it looks like you have. All right. G is for gestures. I talk with my hands, clearly. A lot of people don't. It's okay to stand with your arms crossed in front of you, not folded, because that makes you look like you're standoffish and you're not open. But if you have your hands clasped in front or behind you, so long as you don't start swinging when you're talking, it's okay. If you decide to want to practice gestures, do that. Practice them. Don't get in front of people and start talking and you've never practiced your gestures before, because you're going to come off like you're either a robot or like you're voguing, and it looks real awkward. So practice. All right. And the last thing is the S for speed. When we're nervous, we tend to talk faster. If you're from someplace like up north or down south, your accent tends to get thicker, and it makes it harder for people to understand you. So one tip that I always tell anybody, adult or student, breathe. There are no rules that say you have to immediately start talking when you get in front of a microphone or a podium or an audience, okay? When you get in front, take 3 breaths, deep breaths, because it makes your nerves go from this to this. And eventually your speed will decrease and your clarity when you talk will make more sense, because now you're not as nervous. All right, so that's public speaking. College and career readiness. The next video after this one will be of me interviewing a professional in whatever field. I think the first one that I'm going to do is in the field of education. If you're not interested in going into education, that is totally fine. The takeaway that I want you to get from my next video is the questions that I'll be asking the person that I'm interviewing. All right, because if you are interested in nursing, cosmetology, political science, criminal justice, art, music, whatever it is, if you find a professional, you want to make sure you ask them all the right questions, from where'd you go to school? Give me an example of a day in the life of your career. Have you ever encountered any stumbling blocks or speed bumps on your way? What did you do to encourage yourself? How much money does it take to be a business owner if your career of choice is business? So I want you to watch the video and you say, well, I don't want to be in education. That's fine. At least jot down all the questions that I ask, because that way, again, use your Googles and find the profession that you want to go into and ask that person, whoever owns the company, or if you can get in contact with somebody that's in that career field, these are the questions that you need to ask them if you're serious about it. All right, sound good? So again, set you some goals. Google the differences between business professional and business casual. Practice public speaking. And if you are a senior, and especially for my juniors, make sure you start looking at where you want to go in life. If it's college, technical school, 2-year degree, 4-year degree, what's that's going to look like? If you want to be a doctor or a judge, you have more schooling to do. If you do have a career in mind and you have no idea how long it's going to take you, now is a good time to start researching. The last thing you want to do is go to school, spend all this money, spend all this time, and wind up graduating with a degree that you don't use. Okay. Also look up the differences between student loans and scholarships. Right now is a very good time to start looking for scholarships. Again, a quick Google search will give you all the information you need. Even if you're in 9th or 10th grade, it's never too early to start looking for scholarships or schools. Especially now with the pandemic, a lot of schools are offering application waivers. So instead of spending $125 to submit your application to get accepted to a college is free now. All right, so please, please, please take advantage of the situation that's happening. You are in charge of your own destiny. You don't want anybody to decide your future for you. So, make your destiny into your own hands and start making correct choices and working on your grades now. Okay, because a lot of things are up in the air at this point, and it's not, to try to sound scary or anything, but if anything, is to make you get a better grip on how you want your future to go and what type of decisions you have to make between now and going forward. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me, comment on this video. My email is going to be in the description. So I look forward to hearing from you. Next week, I'll be releasing the interview video. Again, if education is not your thing, I understand, because it's hard out here for any teachers. Thank goodness for them. And parents are feeling it now, what it feels like to be a teacher. So if that's not your cup of tea, again, that's cool. I'm not offended. But just pay attention mostly to the questions that are being asked. So until next time, y'all be safe and take care.